guys? Welcome to the 14th episode of the Journey for Greatness podcast. We got a great talk today. We're going to be talking about those people that crush it under pressure. Those people that are able to come out on top under pressure. You know, the Clinton Dempseys of the world, the Michael Jordans, the Wayne Gretzky's, you know, even go as far as talk about people, you know, corporate people and stuff like Bill Gates. Like, what makes them so good under pressure? How do they perform and come out the other end successful? And, you know, once again, kid just keeps coming up with good topics. Tommy P fired this one away at me, and I loved it. So the kid's on a roll. I don't know if it's 4 or 5 in a row, but kid just keeps coming with fire every week. I love it.
Yeah, I just happened to watch for any, you know, obviously soccer is kind of something I got into back when I was in Italy, and we watched a huge European final in Italy, and just absolutely inspired me to watch soccer more. Not really sure why. I mean, I always grew up thinking, you know, soccer players were a bunch of pussies, basically, you know, and you know, and then I got to watching the game, and obviously there is the occasional dive that everybody's like, oh my god, you know, this guy's, you know, shouldn't dove like that or whatever, he's injured.
But I have to interrupt and say, you know, you see that in hockey, you see it in basketball, so,
yeah.
You know, I hate to say you see it in hockey and stuff, but you do, and then you see it in football with the guys going down wanting a penalty.
Correct,
so,
and that's what they're just trying to, they're trying to get the foul, so totally get it, you know, I understand, but last night we, just to give everybody a quick update, the U.S., you know, soccer team, you want to call it, the national team, has gone through some changes. They got a new coach. We were in a pretty bad spot, and then they got a new coach. We've basically gone 11 games unbeaten in all different like tournaments and qualifiers, and right now we're playing in what's called the Gold Cup, which is basically so the world is broken up into different regions in soccer. So we're in something called the CONCACAF, which is basically, you know, Mexico, us, Canada, and then all the South American teams, not South America, but mid-American teams, whatever you want to call it, like Nicaragua, all these like little teams, El Salvador. So they all play together, and then they play for this tournament called the CONCACAF Gold Cup, and that's what the U.S. is in right now. And so we were in a semifinal game yesterday against Costa Rica, and the game was 0-0 forever, you know, up until the 61st minute, and then old coach. This is the one thing I actually respect too. Great coaches. Another thing we talk about, I mean, we don't talk about coaches as much as players, but I think great coaches know what players to put in what situations to make them, you know, absolutely, you know, crush it. And I think that also helps the great players when the coaches know, you know, where that person's going to be. So they basically made the substitution for Clint Dempsey, who everybody who knows soccer knows who he is. He's like he just last night tied the all-time leading scorer, you know, record for goals scored and, you know, for the national team. So they put him on, and not more than 2 or 3 minutes later, he makes this unbelievable play to set up, you know, another striker to make the goal. And so it made it 1-0. And then I think it was probably like 10 minutes later, he gets an opportunity, and it's just him. So it was a free kick, so it was only him. He had to play, and it was from right outside. You know, it was close enough where he could shoot it to score. And sure enough, the motherfucker puts the ball in the net from the free kick, and that was the goal that tied it to made it 2-0, but then also tied it for the all-time leading scorer, you know, in U.S. soccer history. So, you know, it was like, oh my god. And then you look back, and I look back into his background, his story, and, you know, Wikipedia, pretty reliable, you know, resource. I went there and just started reading about him, and, you know, I'm going through and looking at his early life and just reading about where he came from. You know, it says much of his childhood, Dempsey's family lived in a trailer park where he and his siblings grew up playing soccer, you know, among mostly Hispanic immigrants. So he was basically, you know, just playing like I don't know, just dirty soccer. Just probably jumping out of bed. They're in a trailer park, and everybody just goes out and they have a soccer ball and they just play soccer. And then it said in 1995, Dempsey lost his 16-year-old sister, Jennifer, to a brain aneurysm. And it says Dempsey was devastated, with his family's loss, and later explained that this event helped him develop a deeper motivation to pursue soccer in honor of his sister. And I was like, holy shit, So, like, that happened way back in the day. So you kind of, I don't know, you just realize all these different things. You don't know what goes into this person all the way back from when they first, were born and where they grew up and what happened to them. What makes them so inspired and motivated to perform at a really high level. And then you start reading into these people, and they have all these unique stories that 100% have an effect on them, and then it kind of makes sense now,
Yeah, I do. And I feel like, every successful person has a backstory like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, him, right? Lives in a trailer, probably didn't grow up with a ton of money, and there's plenty of other situations out there too where successful people grow up like that. Maybe they grow up in the projects, not having that money, and then, maybe that forces them to be in embarrassed situations. Actually, it's funny, actually, one of my favorite stories for something like this is Ray Lewis. I love Ray. I love his intensity. I watch, he actually speaks. I watch a lot of his speeches and stuff, and I can remember him saying that, he used to play football, and he used to lift weights, not because he wanted to be good at football at the time, but because he was sick of a man putting his hands on his mother, and he wanted to one day stop that. So I feel like, a lot of, and we've actually talked about this before, but I feel like a lot of successful people, they get into situations, they feel pain, and they store that in their memory bank, and they use it positively in their life. They don't just say like, oh, for example, Dempsey, oh, my sister died, like, all of a sudden just maybe you want something? Think about it. And it happens. He could have quit soccer. He could have resorted to drinking. He could have started taking pills, started doing drugs, and he could have just went the complete other way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not saying that doesn't happen. It happens. But there are those special people out there that use that negativity, like him, like Ray Lewis. They store it in their memory bank, and they use it every single day for positivity to positively affect their life and what they're doing. You said he uses it for motivation, inspiration to be a better soccer player. Well, as I just said, he could have easily just quit and never played again because he felt so sorry and so bad for himself and his family and his sister that she died. So I feel like, if you kind of dug up a lot of successful people's past, you would find something that they went through that changed their life. And maybe more than one thing, but I think at least one occurrence, one thing, one moment that they felt, and they stepped back and they said, you want to know something? Like, I'm going to use this. And maybe not at the time. Maybe not at the time they said that, but I think eventually in their life, they said, I want something? I'm going to use this positively in my life. So maybe when I get tired or when something happens, I can resort back to it and say, you want to know something? Like, I've gotten through this. Why can't I do this? Like, I've gotten through the death of my sister. Why can't I go out there in overtime and score a goal? Why can't I go out there and be great? Like, I got through probably one of the hardest things, probably the hardest thing I'm ever going to have to deal with in my life. So I honestly feel, and, again, that's my opinion, that, you look back at people, that are intense, that have motivation, that are great. They all have a great story. Michael Jordan gets cut. We all know. I've talked about it here before. Gets cut from his high school basketball team. And he stored. You want to know what he does? He goes home and he just shoots till he can't shoot anymore. And he does that for a long, long time. And he becomes one of the greatest players ever to play. So I think that, that's a big thing with a lot of people out there. I'm not saying every successful person, but I feel like the majority of people go through something and decide. Look at The Rock. I remember reading a quote from him. Him saying like
he didn't have any money.
I had $2 in my pocket. Exactly. He had like $2 in his pocket. And he's like, and I knew right then and there when all I had to my name was $2, I was gonna be successful because I was gonna use this for inspiration every day to start making money to help my family. So that's just my kind of whole thing on it. Is a lot of successful people go through something that they store in the memory bank for positivity, and they use it every day. They use it every single day. And when they get in pressured situations, it's kind of like, like this is nothing. Like from what I've been through, this is nothing.
No, I 100% agree with that. And I look at even, I didn't realize, like I said, it to me, I get inspiration from those guys because, they, and even I fast forward a little bit, Clint, going back to Clint Dempsey, he was actually sidelined for a little bit because he had an irregular heartbeat. So he personally was going through, a situation where he was on the sidelines where he was like, okay, I got an irregular heartbeat. How am I going to overcome this? Like, I might never ever play again. So even using not only the experience from back when he was in, he was really young and his sister dies, but as an older, like, I feel like this is a very good, analogy for life. Like, you're never going to have a situation where everything is golden, everything is good. Like, you're going to be, quote unquote, tested throughout your life, and you're going to have to kind of react the same way in terms of perseverance, persistence. You might be in a situation where you're, like, for me, I'm not making the exact money that I want, but I'm also on a quest to find what my passion and what I really want to do, and I know that will bring the money, because I don't need to just get into something because I think it's going to make me a lot of money and then end up being unhappy. So right now I'm in a test, to figure out, okay, what do I want to do career-wise, and so when Clint goes through something like that, he doesn't think at, I think he's 34, so he probably doesn't think at 32, 33 that he's going to be tested with an irregular heartbeat, at a point when he's, I wouldn't say in his prime anymore, but he's obviously older than a normal kind of prime player. Normally you're, between 25 and 30, and you're, coming into your own. But as a veteran player, you're put up against the wall and say, Jesus, I might not ever play again. So, I just feel like life is always about adversity, and it's always about how you react to it. You control how you react to that. You can give up, you can quit, or you can figure out whatever way you can to make a solution to the problem, and that might just be, for him, it was accepting the fact that he's at a point where, I got to do what my doctors tell me. I got to pay attention to my body, give myself time to get back to where I know I can be. And it happened, and he's back at the national level making an impact. So just an all-around, fucking inspiration, dude. It was crazy.
Isn't that the great thing, though? Like, isn't that the part of the journey? Going through the downs and then getting back up and then maybe having another down. Like, that's life. That's the journey in anything you do. It doesn't matter what you do. The fact of the matter is everybody has the ups. Everybody has the downs. The difference in people is the way they look at it and then the way they use it and react to it. I mean, you just said perfect. There's probably plenty of examples out there where somebody gets hurt or something happens, and then all of a sudden it's like, forget it. That's it. Done. See you later. And they just quit. And they could have been great. You know what I'm saying? They could have been great, but they didn't have the mindset. They didn't use it positively. They had the negative mindset. They were negative about it, and it didn't take them anywhere when maybe it could have at some point. So I think that's a huge thing, because I don't care who you are. Look at Floyd Mayweather, okay? I'm not going to sit here and say I know. Maybe you can come up with something. Floyd Mayweather, 49 or 50-0. Perfect record. perfect record, works his tail off. Remember seeing a documentary, and he's like, at 2, 3 a.m., he's like, I need to work out. He goes to the gym and he works his butt off. He has a perfect record. But I guarantee you, he's had downs in his life. I guarantee you. But I bet you he's used them positively in his life to get where he is. I actually think he grew up in the projects.
Yeah, I was going to pull it up real quick and see what
bunch of
his
people,
background.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he like lived in the projects, lived in a bad neighborhood, and actually that's why he got boxing. So if you think about it too, right? Just thinking about that, sometimes when people are put in a negative situation, they do things to try and kind of get away from that, and it actually makes them who they are today. You know,
it's so funny you say that, dude. I literally just pulled up Wikipedia, and granted, obviously, we all take Wikipedia with a grain of salt, but I don't really care. It's pretty. I feel it's accurate. So he grew up when he was about 8 or 9. He grew up in New Jersey with my mother, and we were 7 deep in one bedroom, and sometimes we didn't have electricity. And he said, when people see what I have now, they have no idea where I came from and how I didn't have anything growing up. So, and his mother was addicted to drugs, and he had an aunt who died from AIDS because of her drug use. People don't know the hell I've been through.
See? And that's the thing, right? We don't know the hell he's been through, right? Because think about it. All we see is him winning boxing matches on the TV. That's it. We don't see that story. You see it in the I knew there was something like that. But, you don't see the shots that Mike took every night. The 5, 6, 7, 8, 10,000 shots Mike was taking a day to win that ring, to win that championship. You only see him getting that championship, putting that hat on with that smile. You don't see him out there when the lights are out and his fingers are hurting and he's taking those shots. Or when Floyd's up at 2 a.m., he's putting the gloves on, he's boxing. You don't see that stuff. People don't know these. People just think, oh, he's lucky. No, he's not lucky, because he definitely put in the time, and I can guarantee you, most of the people, I'm not saying all of them, okay? I'm not saying all of them, but I'm saying most of the people have gone through adversity and either have used or have come across what they're doing to get out of a negative situation, turned it positive. Like you could, I guarantee you could go online and search and we're not even talking about just like sports players, you know. I guarantee you there are businessmen, a lot of successful, singers, other things too out there where people have become successful because of the negative situation, as I said, and
like you said, business people too.
Negative
we talk
that's happened.
about, even like a guy like Tony Robbins, or there's different people out there that are in the business world that are just as big and have just as much motivation and inspiration based off of their story, and it just blows my mind when it motivates me when I read these stories. And that's why I think a big thing for me is I need to get back to listening to biographies or just different things about people, because what it does is it helps to put context. If you're in that situation, if you're in that struggle, if you're in the grind, you're not exactly where your vision is for yourself. It puts all of that in its proper perspective to help you and to motivate you to say, okay, listen, I'm in a tough spot, but every single one of these people that I read about or I hear about have been in my exact spot, but with perseverance and reacting the right way, which is, putting your energies into positive things, not resorting to drugs, not resorting to alcohol, not resorting to things that just kind of cover up the pain, but really trying to figure out where the problem is and using those stories as motivation to get yourself in a better situation. So, I love reading stories like that about people, and I personally need to get back to doing that, because I did that a lot. I just, last little bit I haven't.
Yeah, no, I agree. But, as I said, a lot of people don't take the time to look back and maybe research and go on the internet and just see what they've been through. Because I can tell you right now, And again, not everybody, but a lot of people, you know, I'm telling you, man, like that's what I do. Like, I store the negative, I store the stuff. Man, it's happened to me. It's happened to me right now. You know, it actually happened to me yesterday. It's funny. I'm gonna share this. You know, I'm not embarrassed about it. Okay, but I mean, it's something that I'm gonna store. And it's happened a few times in my memory. And, you know, when I have a lot of money one day, I look back at it and say, God, like, you know, that used to happen. But I went shopping yesterday, and I bought all my groceries, and I was about to leave, and I was like, oh, damn, I forgot dish detergent and salad dressing. So I went back, I went in the aisle, I got the dish detergent, I got the salad dressing. I went to go pay for it. Oh, sorry, sir, insufficient funds. I was like, damn, really? I was like, all right, I'm just gonna get the dressing, see if I can pay for this. And legitimately, I'm like praying to myself, like, it's $2.50 for a thing of dressing, and I'm just like, oh, please, like, please, hopefully I have enough money, $2.50. And the guy's like, yep, you're good. And I'm like, oh, thank God. But like, I'm gonna store that in my memory bank, and like, when I get tired, it's like, do you really, like, you know, like, do you really want to feel that again? You know what I'm saying? Like not knowing if you can get salad dressing to put on your salad or to use for marinade for chicken or something, you know. So I mean, you know, it's just, I feel like it's, and I also feel like, you know, going through this stuff and whatnot, it humbles you too. You know what I'm saying? It really makes you sit back, and you really become humble and think, like, you know, about stuff that you've went through, and, you know, that the situation you're in, and, you know, how blessed you may be and whatnot too. So I definitely feel like, you know, people like Floyd, you know, like a lot of other people out there that have had a hard past, they kind of probably sit back and they say to themselves, wow, you know, I'm humbled to be where I am now as to where I was before, you know, like back in the past. So I think that was actually just kind of a rant when I was
I can 100% relate to that, dude. And that to me is the same, you know, same situation that I've been at. I've had to sell, you know, my washer dryer. I've had to sell things to just in order to make my payments, my rent payments, my car payment, you know, my credit cards, whatever. And it's like, do you want to have to do that? No. Do I want to have to get a
But dude, no. But wait a minute. But dude, it's the journey, man. You know what I'm saying? It's the journey. And y'all gotta remember this stuff. I had to do this. So dude, it's not a bad thing. It's only a bad thing if you look at it negatively. You think, okay, so you get through it, you sold your washer, your dryer, you sold stuff, you got money, you paid your rent, it's good, you're still in the place, but now don't think, oh my God, like I had to do that, like now, no, you gotta think, okay, like I don't want to be selling other things, so let's get going here. You know what I'm saying? Like let's get going. I don't want to have to do that again. And then, you know, but again, it's that mindset. Or are you just gonna be like, oh, you know, it's too bad, like that stinks, like I had to
just feel bad, and
I'm doing
exactly
so bad. Exactly. So it's a mindset, you know, 100%. I bet you, guarantee you, go have a talk with, what's his name again? Sorry, not gonna lie, not gonna sit here and all Clint Dempsey, but I'm not gonna lie, like, you know, not a huge soccer guy. You know, I saw, actually, it's funny, I saw the Revolution playing. I think it's the LA Galaxy. I'm surprised I even knew that. I think it's the LA Galaxy. I don't know. So, I think so. Hey, I'm surprised I know the Revolution's name. I think the only reason why I know it though is because Bob Kraft.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he's the owner. But yeah, I saw a game on last night, and I was out to eat with my dad, and I was just like, yeah, can we change this? I'm not a fan. And as a matter of fact, I'm sorry. But wait a minute. But then they changed it to baseball, and then I was like, yeah, we got to change this too. And then I'm saying to myself, this is the worst time of the year for sports. No hockey. I mean, not that I'm a huge basketball fan, but I can watch a little bit. No basketball, right? No football.
No hockey.
It's just, yeah, exactly. It's just baseball, and if you want to take a gander at soccer. And if you're so pleased as to you love to watch tennis, then watch tennis. But I mean, I'm just not a tennis guy. I'm not a
I don't know if you
guy.
watch UFC that much, but I watched a fight last night. That was pretty exciting. I never really have been big into UFC, but I think I told you last week, or 2 weeks ago, I did a mixed martial arts, like just trial class. Hey,
okay, I gotta ask you, sorry, you know, like, and we don't hold anything back in this podcast. You know, we say what we want, and maybe after me asking this question, who knows? Maybe this talk goes a different way. But your thoughts? Are you going to watch the Floyd and McGregor?
I think 100%. I'm
what
going
are
to
you
watch
thinking?
it. And honestly,
I'm gonna have.
It's freaking hard to pick a guy. Like, I really like. I listen to McGregor, and I like his. I actually kind of like him. I don't know why, but I just think he's. But as I read about Mayweather and what his story is, I'm like, I'm in between right now. But I think McGregor is such a. I think he's the underdog. I don't know what he's gonna be like put at like betting wise, but I think he's gonna be considered the underdog because obviously he's not a boxer, but I just think he's such a junkyard dog. Like, he just doesn't want to lose a fight. Like, he is very, very motivated. And there was one thing that I noticed that he told in the first conference, or the first press conference, and it was like talking about his why, like his son being born, and what better reason to fight for than fight for my son, and like. So I know he's tapped into a higher why, which would be his son, and I don't know what Floyd. I mean, I'm sure Floyd's really is just everything that we just talked about. His bringing up, his lack of this, his lack of that, and he probably just doesn't want to lose to McGregor.
Well, I'm gonna have to tell you this, to be honest with you. I'm not going to bother. I'm not going to waste my time. I'm not going to watch it. And I'm going to tell you why. I love great stories. I do. I love great stories. I love underdogs. But he's just walking in to Floyd Mayweather's craft. Not only is he, and by the way, I don't know if you can hear the trucks or the cars behind me, but it's just such a good day out. I'm on my deck. I'm laying down. I got the podcast set up. I just had to do it. It's just too nice out. So, I don't know if that's affecting the quality of the podcast, guys, but I just had to do it. It's just too nice out. I couldn't stay cooped up in the house in the new apartment. I had to come outside. But I just think McGregor is not only walking into somebody's craft. So McGregor isn't able to throw any kicks or anything. He won't get paid. He'll get disqualified. He won't, so he has to box. So he's not only walking into Floyd's craft, he's walking into the best boxer's craft. And I don't know how long he's been boxing for, but that many years. The best boxer that the boxer will ever seen. He has the best record ever. Now, am I saying he's the best boxer ever? I don't think so. But right now, the best boxer ever? Yes. Right now, this generation, yes. So, I mean, hey, kudos to McGregor thinking that he's going to come in and win, but I just think he's walking into Floyd Mayweather's den, and he controls the den. Like, he is the lion that everybody looks up to in the den, and like he's the king. He's the king of the den. So, am I saying that McGregor is definitely going to lose? I mean, I think there's probably a 97%, 98%.
I just don't think McGregor's going to be able to
win, but there still is that 2% chance. There still is that 2% chance. But as you said, dude, I saw that interview, or whatever they call it. But I saw that too, and he's I love his poise. I feel like just Mayweather always just tries to get everyone rattled and stuff, and you suck this. Dude, it's funny though. It's funny because the only thing that Floyd can talk about, and I actually talked about it to my brother, is his record and money. That's it. That's all he ever talks about. That's it. That's all he ever talks about is he's 49 or 50-0 and how much money he has. And even on his like social media page and stuff too. Like, that's all he ever talks about. He's like no, seriously, think about it. Like, he never really talks about family or anything. Think about it, right? He never really talks about his family and how much he loves them and this and maybe he does, but I've never seen it. It's always, I got this much money, I got that much money. He shows it off and how much he's won. It's just I've never really heard him talk about anything else. So I don't know. Just thought I'd ask that question.
Yeah, it's tough. Tough one to know what. I think I'm just gonna stay neutral and just watch a good. I think it'll be a good fight only because Conor McGregor will just hang in there and just be dirty about it and just fight him. You know what I mean?
Well, you want to know what's funny about it though is that, and this is my whole take on it, and maybe it works. I don't know. But everyone's saying, like, you know, everyone talks about it, you know, especially at the gym and stuff, and they're like, oh, you know, what do you think? Who's going to win? And everyone's like, look it. Mayweather's going to kick his ass because McGregor got knocked out when he was sparring. Now, do you honestly think that if he really got knocked down and he didn't want anybody to know about it, do you think that it would have got out on social media, on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter? Do you think that actually would have got out? No, I don't think it would have. So I honestly think it's a tactic. He's thinking, oh, you know, he's letting he's like trying to basically, you know, show everybody that, oh, you want to know something? Like, trying to make them think, I'm not that good. You're right. I got knocked down. You know? But I think it's a tactic. I think he did it on purpose. Because you think his camp would have let that get out? You think people would have had their phones out while he was boxing? Come on. No. This wouldn't happen. No way. You know?
It'll be interesting to see what happens. I'm curious.
But hey, you know, I mean, that wasn't off topic what we were talking about today. Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather, the best at their craft. You know, we talked about Floyd and what he's gone through. I'm sure McGregor's gone through stuff too.
It's not off topic at all. It's perfect actually, because I think we'll end up witnessing something, you know, something great. Either McGregor, he's gonna find a way to somehow, some way, beat Mayweather, whether it's just out of pure grit and, you know, make that upset, or we're gonna, you know, witness Mayweather just literally have a road show with McGregor, because it's his craft, it's what he's done forever, and basically knock him around like a rag doll and never let McGregor even touch him, you know. So it'll be fun to see what happens.
So let me ask you this. You know, I feel like, you know, this is, I guess, the ultimate question at the end of the day. What makes these people so great? How do they get through the pressure situations? What do you think it is? I gotta
believe it's just literally an unrelenting, you know, mindset or pursuit to you know, I think it's a hard question to answer. Obviously, talent. Everybody says, oh, if you just work really, really hard, you'll get to where you got to go. I don't agree with that. I think you have to have an ability and a talent, and then couple that with extremely hard work, and then, you know, because I can only go off my personal experiences in big games, and the biggest game that I probably ever played in was, you know, like a championship junior hockey level game, and I've transitioned more to like the business side of things. So like for my big games are probably going to be, you know, in business, and so it's just being prepared, you know, trying to work hard and give yourself the best opportunity to succeed, which means, you know, literally putting in a lot of hard work. But then I think you have to be talented. You can't just be, you know, you can't just be horrible at something and think you're just going to put in a lot of hard work at it and then just suddenly be able to execute in a high pressure situation. I mean, my moral of the story is I don't know what it is, Diddy. I really don't. It's hard to kind of figure out that combination of talent and how much somebody puts in terms of work. And because you know as well as I do, somebody can be amazing at practice and then they go into a big game and, you know, they totally suck, you know. So there's some recipe there that if somebody knew it would probably be, you know, making a lot of money right now. But I don't think it's a one, you know, 2 tablespoons of this, a cup of this. I don't think it's a certain recipe. I think it's just a matter of, you know, if you have a skill, if you, like a guy like Clint Dempsey, if he's really good at soccer, somehow finds some way to just, you know, become great over the course of years, which means a lot of hard work, practice, and then also tying that to a higher why, like having that motivation to be really good and play for something bigger than him. And we've already established that for him, you know, he's been playing for his sister probably since she passed away. You know, maybe he didn't understand it right away why that happened, but you know, over the course of time, he kind of made that as his motivation, and that with his talent level and his amount of you know, work ethic, you know, maybe that's the recipe. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I think if you look, and again, these are just my thoughts, This is just, again, my thinking, but I think if you look at all the great people, one, they've exhausted their time at what they do. I think they've exhausted their time so much that people just think they're insane. You've heard about, Crosby in the dryer. I don't know if you've heard about McDavid in the wall. His dad said to him, listen, Connor, there was a wooden wall up or something, or some sort of wall, and he said, if you shoot a puck through this wall, you will play in the NHL someday. And obviously, you need to have more than a shot. But I'm just saying, exhausting their craft every single day as much as physically human possible, I think is 100% the biggest thing. And again, my thoughts, because I feel like what happens is once you exhaust it as much as you can every day, you become so good at it. We're talking confidence now. Your confidence, I feel, is just so through the roof that it doesn't matter if it's an overtime Stanley Cup shootout to win the game. It doesn't matter what it is. You are so confident in what you do that there is no really big pressure situation to you, because you feel as though you've put in so much time and you put in so much work that whatever it is you do, you got it. You got it. Are there some fears? Not fears, but, maybe there's a little doubt, when somebody does it, like when someone gets, picked for that shot. Yeah. But I mean, there are some people, I 100% firmly agree with this, that there are some people, if someone was something like that was to happen and there was an overtime shootout, let's say in Stanley Cup game, there are some people on the bench that would be saying to themselves, please don't pick me. Please don't pick me, because they don't want to be out there. They don't want to have the burden on them of, if they miss, losing the game. But some people in their head would be like, please pick me, please pick me, please pick me, please pick me, because they feel as though they can do it. They feel as though they've put in enough work, enough time that, they are ready for the burden, and they're honored. They want to have that situation. They want to be in it. They like being in it. They like the challenge because they think and they feel like they're going to come out on top because they've put in so much work. And obviously, mindset and everything like that. And, what's the word I'm looking for? They've been through it. They have experience, too. So that's not the only thing, as you said, 100% agree. It's a big recipe. It's a big pot to fill. A lot of stuff's got to go in it. But I believe that's just the number one thing, is just beating the absolute shit out of what you're doing every day. Like, you ever see Rocky when he's in the friggin' locker and he's punching the ribs like an animal? That's exactly what it's like. Just beating the shit out of whatever you're doing.
I love it.
So, and I think it's just trickle down effect, Then that goes into your mindset. You've worked so hard. It's like, okay, you're thinking, I can do this. I got this. I will do it. So there's some people that want that burden on them, and there are some people that just don't. They're just, happy to be there. So, again, that's another difference too. There's a lot that goes into it, but my personal opinion, I just think, that's kind of the biggest thing.
Well, without further ado,
it's
time for the grind of the week, and I think it's pretty simple. He's not close to me, obviously. He's not a personal friend or anything, but I got to go with my man Clint. He just kind of gave me a renewed it's amazing, when I love sports. I think you and I both, love finding examples of, greatness within sports, and, just finding those stories that people come through in a big moment, and that story last night, knowing what he's gone through now, man, it literally fires me up to, I know I'm in the business realm and trying to find my way, and it just continued to, it just relit a fire to be like, man, I was 100% inspired last night, and I'm like, man, I'm pumped to get in and get doing something that I really want to do, and just, I'm motivated to continue to find that. And so I want to shout out to, I know he's a popular figure, famous guy, but Clint Dempsey, and, just keep on grinding, and I hope you break the record next game. So appreciate it, man.
It's awesome. Yeah. Shout out to Clint. Again, I'm not going to lie. I did see the video. Really inspiring. Loved it on the Journey for Greatness Instagram page. Guys, if you don't follow us, we'd really appreciate it if you hop on Instagram and, at the Journey for Greatness. So, yeah, shout out to Clint, That's an awesome story, too, that you talked about, and kind of got this podcast rolling. So, actually, if it wasn't Clint, we probably wouldn't have talked about this today. So, thanks, Clint. And it's actually funny, for the second week in a row, I know I did my cousin, but my grinder of the week is actually, my brother, Anthony. He, ever since we moved into this apartment, I don't know what it is. I think maybe it's as a motorcycle goes by me. Anyways, I don't know what it is, but he seems to be, I don't know if it's a new beginning, a fresh start, but he's friggin' crushing it, man. Like, he would usually be rushing in the morning to get to work and stuff, and he'd usually try to get home as quickly as he can. But now, man, he's like waking up and he's like, Eric, can you drive me to the train station? When I'm up at 4 o'clock in the morning, he's up at 4 with me. I'm driving him to the train station. He's getting to the train station earlier. He's doing work before the train gets there, when he's on the train, and then he's doing work when he's coming back on the train. So I mean, it's just like I don't know what it is. It's be interesting. I think maybe I'd like to just talk to him and see if maybe he can explain it. I don't know what it is, but he's just completely changed, and it's getting me pretty excited, because I always used to, I'm not gonna lie, I used to call him out all the time, like, dude, stop sleeping all the time, like, like, what are you doing, do something, come on, do something with your life. But you want to know something? He was sleeping today, for a decent amount of time, and what I said to myself, I'm not gonna say anything. Because he's been working his ass off compared to what he used to do. So I'm going to let him sleep, because, you needed this thing, it comes with, he's at another level now, and he actually said something today, like, I haven't worked this much, and, like, I'm tired today, and I haven't really ever felt like this, and I'm saying to myself, you finally have, like, gone above and beyond what you're supposed to do, and that's awesome, and now you're feeling it. I feel like you should be tired after you work.
That's awesome.
So shout out to the old
Broseph Anthony.
The old Broseph Heimer Anthony. He's hopefully, he continues to.
Well, I know. Yeah, I talked to Anthony whenever we were talking about the website coding and this and that. So I know he was telling me in his off hours he was teaching himself how to code, and so that's probably maybe what it is or what part of it is. And so it sounds like he has an aspiration to do something within. Coding and websites and things like that, and he's taken it upon himself. There's a ton of resources on the internet, but it's a matter of, are you smart enough to do it? Are you able to do it? And so, it sounds like he's taken that route to teach him something new, off hours, when he's not working. So maybe that's part of it.
Yep. Little side hustle, baby. A little side hustle, So make some extra cash. Yeah.
I want to. Obviously, we always have to thank everybody. There's, obviously we're continuing to grow our Instagram, and obviously, we're really appreciative of everybody that takes some time out of their day to listen to this podcast and kind of follow in on our personal journeys for greatness. And it really means a lot for us to just, document some of these awesome stories that, inspire us, and hopefully, one person listens to the story of Clint or the story of Mayweather or, some of these different kind of iconic people that have humble beginnings, and it lets them inspire them to be, tenacious and hungry to kind of chase their personal greatness. And so we appreciate it, and I'll let you finish it off, Diddy.
Yeah, just to kind of reiterate on that, guys, we appreciate, when you listen every week, because we've talked about it. We both feel the most important thing in your life you can't get back is your time. So think about it as you're giving us your most valuable thing in life, your time when you're listening. So we really appreciate it. We can't thank you enough. And we're excited, to continually every single week bring you something that can hopefully help you in your week, in your month, in your year, in your life. That's why we do this. We just, we want to help people, get the best. I guess you could say, be the best possible version of you in what you do possible.
I like that.
So again, the guys really appreciate it. Thank you very much, and don't think that it doesn't go unnoticed when people aren't watching and supporting. So thanks.
All right, my man. We'll catch you next week. Good talk.
All right. Sounds good.
Yep. Later.
Take care, bud.
Bye.
Bye-bye.